This story is about changing and about having the willingness to change and creating that willingness in others. The central character is not your typical protagonist. She's a middle-aged woman, a single parent of 2 teens, gray-haired and slightly plump, a teacher, in fact, me. My name is Kerry Marquis, and a little over a year ago, I began a journey that would change me and the children that I teach forever. When the journey started, I was living in St. Louis, Missouri, researching the web for graduate schools. After 6 years working in staff development, I wanted to go back to teaching art, and I wanted to update some teaching websites that I had started about 10 years earlier and that were now outdated. Working on the sites was a priority because the sites had been my way of collecting my lesson plans, my information, and materials such as slide presentations, handouts, and web activities. My successful teaching strategies were embedded in those sites, and if I were to go back to doing what I loved, teaching art, then I needed to understand what was needed by this new generation of digital age children, and I needed to revamp my teaching sites to reflect this. And finally, I wanted to be a true professional in my field. Full Sail University offered exactly what I wanted. From the very beginning, the studies were completely relevant. In the first course, we immediately began using iMovie, Photo Booth, and using the American Psychiatric Association, APA, style of writing, a style that I had not used in 30 years. We also learned to use the online research databases to find literature and research studies relevant to our areas of interest. As I began to research and read about what art teachers were doing with technology in their classrooms, I found that some art teachers were taking their students to online museums and using web scavenger hunts to engage students' interest. They were making demonstration videos for students and creating art podcasts. Art teachers were creating online galleries to showcase student work, and a few were even using social networking to teach art history. Yet, despite these many creative ways for using technology, many art teachers were not using technology in their classes. I began to wonder how I could encourage art teachers to begin taking advantage of these teaching tools. It was early in the program that we students were introduced to action research. This was very exciting to me as I realized that not only would I have the opportunity to research, analyze, and write about what I learned regarding implementing technology into my classroom and my websites, I would be designing and developing digital media, implementing with students or other teachers, and then evaluating the results. This would give me experience in putting my ideas into practice while still working on my degree. As mentioned earlier, some art teachers are reluctant to incorporate technology into the classroom, despite the many opportunities it provides for good instruction. In the literature that I reviewed, I found that some of the reasons for not using technology in the classroom were personal fears or inhibitions regarding technology, feelings that incorporating technology into the classroom might negatively impact teacher control of the classroom, no time to spare due to district or local mandated requirements, or teachers were simply blocked by a lack of equipment or internet access. COPCHA summarizes these barriers into categories of what teachers typically lack. And those are time, beliefs, access, professional development, and culture. Although several researchers had uncovered barriers to implementing technology into the classroom, success in overcoming those barriers was limited. I decided that I would survey to find what art teachers were implementing in the classroom and what was needed and wanted regarding technology implementation by those same teachers. Once I understood this, I would attempt to address those specifics in one of my teaching sites. I chose my ceramics site because it was the most developed and because nearly 500 ceramics teachers had signed up for my newsletter. These would be the art educators that I surveyed. I was not surprised to learn that very little technology was being implemented into the ceramics classroom. Teachers did indicate, however, that they wanted to implement some technology into their classes. Teachers were particularly interested in online student galleries, online art games and activities, and student-created videos. Interest in communication technologies was spread between wikis, blogs, discussion boards, and social networking. Initially, I wanted to recreate my whole site, but that was not feasible. Then I decided that I would recreate a unit, and I began to learn the program Dreamweaver from the bottom up to do that. I realized after hours of study and work that I would never get it done in time. I finally settled on creating a set of lessons which would incorporate a few of the technology components which art teachers had indicated they wanted. I chose to focus on putting online art activities into the lesson and to introduce some simple tools which teachers could use to help students create online galleries of their work and blogs. I created several videos and found 2 relevant videos online to go with the lessons. Also, in order to ensure that teachers could use the videos, which were posted on YouTube, I introduced teachers to a simple free tool for searching out and downloading videos. Then I sent out a second survey to the same 500 or so ceramics teachers in order to find out what they felt they could use and to get their suggestions. I was amazed at the positive response. It's no surprise that for the question, what resources are you most likely to use, videos of traditional potters creating pottery received the most votes. And for which tool are you most likely to use, the computer and projector received the most votes. Most instruction is still group instruction. Surprising, however, was that nearly half of the teachers answered that they would use the computer lab with their students. Additionally, about 21% of respondents would use the online self-directed lesson, and nearly half would use a Web 2.0 tool to download videos to show their students. Over half would use digital art games, student-created videos, and student e-portfolios. These percentages are all significantly more than were expressed in the original survey. The original supposition was that perhaps by discovering the specific barriers of individual art teachers by survey, some of those barriers might be handled and the effective use of technology in the art classroom facilitated. The data here indicates that this supposition was true. The process is far from over. As I mentioned earlier, I plan to transform and migrate my entire ceramics site to this new and friendlier format, using the survey data received from fellow art teachers to make my modifications. Another avenue that I'd like to explore with other art teachers is creating guiding principles for the lessons as well as coordinating them with the national standards. Eventually, the basic site will be completed, and I'll begin an advanced site, again using surveys and trial runs or pilots of the lesson sets. Once the ceramics site is complete, I'll develop other art sites in the same manner. Eventually, through my own contributions and the contributions of other art teachers, I can see a whole living curriculum existing that fits together seamlessly, yet can be adjusted to meet the needs of individual classes or students. Most importantly, this project has helped me to see that as I improve my own practice, I can positively influence the practice of other art teachers, thus benefiting many more students than those whom I teach. I've moved halfway across the country now, no longer in Missouri, but now in Florida. No longer doing staff development, but teaching art again. Is the transformation complete? I would say that I have only just begun.